very special event created in memoriam of the victims who lost their lives almost a year ago.
Saturday, May 13th, it's the 514 5K Half Marathon, sponsored by the Lieutenant Aaron Salter Memorial Scholarship at Delaware Park. Bruce Smith, Thomas, and my friend Steve Tasker here will be on site to show love to our community. May 13th will be a day when Buffalo
Responders receive a 20%
sign up for the 514 5K Half Marathon, sponsored by Aaron Salter Memorial Scholarship. Visit BFLO514-5K.
5K half marathon. Let's go to BFLO514-5K.com.
Scheme.
Menthol is not just
Now, Drew, I'm saying there's a dude right now ask for me. Trey Statbacker.
Tobacco companies are
Maybe on the outside,
menthol
but
products using elements of
I think these two right now has to play in the middle.
making them cheaper. And it's not just
Marcus, you gotta go and check my 2.0 mock draft. You know what? I'm gonna put it up on Facebook. I don't think I put it. It's on Twitter, but I'm gonna put it up for you on Facebook.
and no Kawhi. It should have been. It should not be close.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you break this up after this year? Because it's clearly not working with the PG Kawhi experiment. These guys aren't available for you in postseason play. And they're getting paid gigunda dollars. And they're not available when things. First of all, they're not even available during the regular season. And now, here in the playoffs, they're not available as well. So is it time to start breaking this thing up?
I mean, I know, I feel like yes and no at the same time, right? Because I think that this playoff run kind of sort of has shown a little promise. Mm-hmm. For all intents and purposes, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton all on the same team is one of the best teams in NBA history. And you know what I mean? It was a competition, with when those boys is on the court. And if they could go toe to toe with that team, I feel like they've got potential to make something shake. But again, to your point, they got to make it shake in the postseason, and it just seems like the playoffs is just not a priority for players. Sometimes it's like they just don't. I don't want to say they don't care, but that's what it feels like sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, when you look at it, you got Booker dropping 30 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. You got Chris Paul, 19 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. You got Kevin Durant, 31 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. You got DeAndre Ayton, 15 points, 13 rebounds. All right. Whoever this T. Craig is, all right, he started, he contributed 8 and 5. But, their big 3/4 pretty much is carrying the Phoenix Sun. And if all those guys are hitting, and, that's our issue, especially for the Clippers who, without Chris, without PG and without Kawhi are, still, fighting a good fight. Westbrook had 37 points and 6. He finally, had a solid game, but when Russell Westbrook had these type of games, he needs somebody else with him to make it worthwhile. The next best person was Powell with 14 points. Again, this is where you miss a Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, in these
playoff P. Where you at,
playoffs, man? Where it matters the most.
Ever since he gave himself that name, he's been terrible in the playoffs. He's not done anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything in the playoffs. What's going on with Milwaukee? No Giannis. It seems like they can't beat anybody. And Miami have their share of injuries as well, with Victor Oladipo going down and Tyler Herro. We got a phone call? All right. Caller, you are live. State your case.
Muki, the coach, Hawkins.
I knew the guy was going to be Carl again.
With Justin General. I hear y'all talking about breaking up this Clippers team. I hear y'all talking about breaking up the Clippers.
I mean, is it time to break them up?
You cannot break up the Clippers team until they actually give you a playoff run. I get it. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are probably two of the most.
So they can't give you. They can't even give you. They're not healthy.
That's
to give
the
you a
thing.
run.
Because I agree with them, but it's also like, when are they actually going to do it?
Yeah, when they're going to be healthy, and how many more years they have under contract? First of all, by the way, so we're going to
get that, but I would have to let them play out next year, especially with Russell Westbrook. I have to play that out. I have to see what we have before we just break up the whole team again.
Yeah.
I respect that. Hey, that's just a question I just threw out there because, ever since then, they didn't want to come back with the Lakers. They say what they want to say, but the Lakers got them a chip already. They can say it's in a bubble, whatever. But the Lakers, the Lakers still got a chip. No matter what it was money well spent. It was trades that was well deserved or well served because they got a world championship out of it. You only need one. All right. So I don't know what's going on with the Clippers.
Shouldn't break up exactly for what you just said.
Well, they're not getting any younger. They're not getting any younger now. They're not getting any younger.
I'm taking veteran play over getting younger any day of the week right now at this point.
Hey, we'll see. We'll definitely see. So, a few questions for you, George. What do you think are the Bills' biggest need? The draft is coming up this Thursday, and what do you think is the Bills' biggest need at this point?
Bills' biggest need is depth. So I would go with I already told you this. You already got me stuck on this moving back to get more pieces, get more picks. The biggest issue would be linebackers, to be honest with you. But I think that they should get more pieces to help Josh Allen. They win defense so many times, they come up short. So I think that they definitely need to go get offense on this one. Get you a short shot player who's going to have direct impact right then and there. We don't know if any of the linebackers coming out are going to have immediate impact. I get it. Campbell is Iowa boy, could have some impact, but we don't know that for sure. We don't know if he's going to have a direct impact. You need direct impact now, and I think you can get that on the offensive end by going to get your guy, Darnell Washington.
I agree with that. I mean, those are, to me, are the biggest concerns on the depth chart. I know the Bills are, bringing guys back for, the quality depth purposes, but to bring new pieces in, what position group will you lean the most towards? And again, when I look at this Bills depth chart, yeah, they do have linebackers, but they really, out of those linebackers core, I can't really say that we found a replacement for Tremaine, right? We understand Ken Dorsey loves 12 personnel to where, it's a 2 tight end base. And everybody keeps saying, well, why get a tight end when Dawson Knox is your starter? But if you are a 12 personnel oriented offensive type of team, it requires 2 tight ends. So that means 9 times out of 10, you're going to have 2 tight ends starting. And, Darnell Washington is definitely a scheme fit to what the Bills need.
Muki, I think they should get tied in just so they can open up the playbook even more on formation. Like, when do the Bills ever run 21 or 22 personnel ever? Have you ever seen them run 21 personnel? 22 personnel.
When they run it, when they run it,
different look.
When they run it, they one of the best around, and they open things up for play action. They just don't run it enough. So hopefully this year, we're getting the right pieces. You got Damian Harris. You got, you go draft a blocking tight end, and that take the pressure off of Dawson Knox, because Dawson Knox could be his hybrid self. So, we got the phone lines ringing, man. You have to call us back, Dre. Appreciate you calling in.
Well, God, I appreciate the time. Thank you again.
All right, bro.
That was his phone? That was his phone calling? Oh. Yeah, he's a busy guy. You know what I mean? Call it that. You can call back then. I ain't know who phone that was chiming in, but
Torch is popular.
Yeah, Torch is a very popular guy. So General, your biggest need, your biggest need for the Bills.
I mean, yeah, it's linebacker, and you know what?
Okay. All right.
We do got for him?
Go ahead.
I mean, and honestly, you know what? I need to trust in my evaluating skills more, right? Because sometimes I'll concede to like the experts, and I'll kind of go off of what I think and kind of just give it to them and be like, oh, they're right or whatever. But the more I listen to people talk, the more people are talking about how much they love Deion Henley. And I've been talking about this boy since I first watched him. And the more I hear more about him, I'm like, man, bump that. Give me him. Like I just feel like he has the best upside. I know he's small. I know he's small, but he got everything else. He can do it all. And I really do want to see that type of football player flying around our defense, because we don't really have anything like that. The closest thing we have to that is Teron Johnson. To just fly around the field. He's everywhere. You know what I mean? And to have that from a linebacker position, I feel like would make us even more special, or the defense would make it more special than what it is, because a guy like Jack Campbell will come in and be, I feel like a guy like Jack Campbell will come in and be essentially what Tremaine Edmonds was, maybe to a lesser degree, right? Mm-hmm. So, which is fair, which is fine. Tremaine Edmonds was amazing. I love Tremaine Edmonds, and I wish we would have paid him. But he there was reasons people had their skepticism about Tremaine Edmonds. Yeah. A guy like Deion Henley comes in. He's a playmaker. He's a ball hawk. He could do any and everything. He's good in pass rush. He's good in run stop. again, his only downfall is he's a little bit smaller than other linebackers.
6'1", 225.
I know. But it is tough because I was watching him on the field like this boy is small. But when you watch him play, it does not translate. His size, it doesn't seem like he plays smarter than everybody else. He's out there overpowering linemen. He can do it all.
He carries a second to third round grade. So again, that fits the mode of where a linebacker should come off the board for the Bills, either their first pick or their second pick for sure. Right. It should be a linebacker. Hey, we do have a caller, so let's bring a caller in. Caller, you're alive. State your case.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Is it me? Because it seems to be an echo. So I was wondering what your thoughts were about getting a running back, because I've heard some other sportscasters say, particularly on a popular station that I listen to at night, that we should get a running back to get some of the pressure off of Josh Allen doing so much running around. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that what they have in James Cook and what they brought in, trading for Nyheim Hines and bringing in Damian Harris from New England, they do need another back. I think they need a power back, somebody that can help you in short yardage situations. I think they need another guy that can help you in the red zone. Damian Harris definitely did that for New England. But I think of a more, guy a little bit more bigger that can shoulder the load and protect Josh in pass pro at some times. But I don't think that we should. I don't think we should entertain one early in the draft, though.
Let me ask you a question.
It's depending too much on the Diggs and Allen connection, and I don't know if they're not training those other guys well enough, because I knew they had other running backs. But it doesn't seem like they're really utilizing them that much.
You are 100% correct.
The extent that they got them, when they drafted them. So, it's always Diggs and Allen. And that's just going to tire out after a while. And I think Diggs, he's just going to get really, really tired of this, and it's going to start showing and affect the team's morale, too, because he was already upset, when they lost the playoffs.
Right.
So why not use some of these other guys? Train them a little bit better. Do something with them.
You are absolutely right.
They're going to be running backs,
Well, that's a question.
That's my opinion.
That's a question for the offensive coordinator, which is a valid question. I mean, I've been saying it myself. I 1,000% agree with what you're saying.
Who's the coordinator again?
Ken Dorsey. He's a first-year play caller.
Dorsey, the guy who slammed his earphones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the guy. So we have
Maybe he needs to input some emotion in, or something, use that emotion in a different area.
Right.
I don't know if slamming those earphones is going to help him much.
Well, if he hand the ball off to a running back, you won't have to worry about slamming his headphones. He will find some success.
Well,
Yeah, I try to tell him all the time. I say, when are me and you going to watch film these days?
Somebody needs to go by him and hold up a sign that says running back. But anyway, I got to go cook my salmon, so you all have a good night. Thank you. Bye.
Appreciate you. Thank you for calling in.
So I got a question for you, Mo, based off of the answer you just gave. Because the whole time I'm thinking that Damian Harris is your answer to the big body power back. Mm-hmm. Do you think that, putting a whole nother roster spot, sacrificing an entire another roster spot for a power back would be more beneficial to the team than just giving the ball to Reggie Gilliam?
Yes. But at times I'm like, well, if we need a yard, that's what you got your fullback there for, right? But they only have 4 backs on the roster when you really look at it. You got Reggie Gilliam, you got Haynes, you got Cook, and you got Harris. So there's only 4 running backs on your roster. So either they're going to draft one or they're going to bring one as an undrafted free agent. They definitely going to bring a rookie in to compete for that spot, because again, Nyheim Hines has 1 year left on his deal, and Damian Harris is only under contract for one more year as well. So, you know, the Bills could be definitely looking for a running back. They've been bringing running backs in on these 30, you know, these visits. So, you know, they definitely are shopping for a running back. So, not sure, you know, who they have highly heralded on their board, but I don't think it's one too early because, you know, they're paying Harris, you know, they're paying Hines, and, you know, obviously they got some things vested in James Cook. So I think that, you know, if they were to get one in the beginning of later rounds, and obviously of a power back guy like our guy Hunter Luepke from out of North Dakota State, or Tavian Thomas from out of Utah. We need more bigger type, you know, backs that could shoulder the load in this situation, and, you know, potentially play some special teams, because that's what Tywan Jones gave you when, you know, he was playing for the team. And don't rule out
Bringing him back.
Bringing him back, right? Don't rule that out either. So, yeah, we still sit here scratching our heads trying to find some great insight or a real damn good rumor, you know, that's going to spill out before, you know, Thursday, so we can really figure out where these Bills are going to, what direction are they headed into. Again, I've been saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. The tight end from Georgia will solve all problems. And is it a reach to go get him at 27? Maybe not. All right. I mean,
if you like a guy, go get him.
Yeah, don't play around
and
with it.
We talked about already how the first 20 picks are really your first grade values, and then everybody else after that point is kind of like it meshes a little bit. So again, when you're picking at 27, you're 5 to 7 picks removed from all the first round grades, you know, given that nobody is you know, dropped. If you like a guy, go get a guy. And hey, as much as we argued, and you know, I love Jackson Smith and Jigba, whatever, I do like Darnell Washington. That boy is obviously going to be a benefit for our team, right? In all the ways you named, the red zone, blocking, cat. Listen, man, I was watching his film. He is the safety net for Benson, whatever his name was, up at Georgia. Stinton Bennett. Thank you, Bennett. He was the safety. Anytime this dude was in trouble, he just threw it up to zero. Like, and most of the time, zero came down with it. So, people talk about how his hands are not there. You also got to realize that Bennett wasn't super accurate. He wasn't putting the ball in the best, you know, place for his receiver to grab the ball, especially a big guy like that. Why aren't you throwing it over the defender's head? Like, why are you putting it on the zero?
How are you overthrowing a guy that's on?
That's what I'm saying. So, like, there's a lot more factors you have to, you know, put in when you consider what his quote unquote weaknesses are. So I really like him, and like I said, if you think that this guy could be your next, you know, Gronkowski, or like I say, he looks like a thicker Kyle Pitts. So, like, if you think that he could be the guy, which I do think he could be the guy, given that he's used correctly, go get him at 27. I wouldn't be mad at that.
I mean, when you look at it, the scheme of things, and it always takes me back to O.J. Howard. Okay, we had Dawson Knox on an extension, but they brought in O.J. Howard too. Right. So you bringing in a guy of O.J. Howard's stature, and it, for some strange reason, it just didn't work. So what is the next thing? You see how bad that you needed a tight end in certain games because you had issues blocking, because you don't have a blocking tight end. And to me, Darnell Washington is the best blocking tight end. You know, Mike Mayer from Notre Dame, he's solid, but I'm going to go with the more freakish guy. All right, I'm going with the more freakish guy who loves the block, who is a block first tight end. All right, that's what the Bills need, a block first tight end that loves it, sleeps it, eats it. Everything is I know my role. I'm not complaining about targets. I'm complaining if I'm not blocking good.
And it looks awkward having Dawson Knox in the backfield blocking. It does.
Right.
It looks awkward.
Like, come on, man. Like, go get you the guy that's the best at what he does. Now, y'all want to play around with it and get the best available blocking tight end after the fact, be my guest. But if you know that you need tight end number 2, why not go get the best tight end number 2 that's in this year's draft class? He may not have a Mike Mayer status or a Dalton Kincaid status or a Luke Musgrave status. But he has what the Bills are looking for, a sixth lineman who can help you inside the red zone, whether it's whether it's catching or blocking inside that red zone. I'm over 68 being eligible this year. And Bobby Hart is not on the roster right now. So they need to go ahead and fill that void with a legitimate tight end. Now, Quentin Morris is still on the team. And, they do have Zach Davison. But we all know, none of them are stone cold blockers. There are, receiving tight ends. Quentin Morris, he did a phenomenal job, but it was to the point where teams wasn't even checking for him because they know the Bills didn't even throw him the ball when he released out. You have no choice but to notice this 6'7", 6'8" specimen, setting up shop in the middle of your zone in the middle of the field for 5 years. Definitely, like you mentioned, a safety valve for Josh Allen. You don't have to run when you got 6'8" sitting in the middle of the field, when you got Dawson Knox dragging across and you got Stephon Diggs, the man in the double team, and Gabe Davis is doing what he's supposed to do. So a tight end, I know it's not the sexiest of pick, but it solved your problem because now you got a guy that can help block, and he can go out and catch a pass as well. So go and get the best scheme fit for you. If it's at pick 27, if you feel that you just need to go ahead and get him off the board, go ahead and get him off the board. But if you feel that he still can be available in the early second round and try to trade back and, get an extra pick, then go after your guy. And then with the next pick, go snatch that linebacker up. If you don't make the trade for DeAndre Hopkins in the midst of all of that, that would be, pretty damn good if I say so myself. I do like the Arizona swap. Somebody put up an Arizona swap, 27 for 34 with DeAndre Hopkins and a fifth.
I'm not mad at that.
So I'm not mad at that at all. So we get DeAndre Hopkins, slide back a few more spots, accumulate, go ahead and get DeAndre Washington with that pick. And maybe if they want to give us 66, I'm all for that. But we're going to take our last and final break. Will we be back? More Bills NFL draft, and we'll give you some updated scores on what's happening across the globe. Keep it locked and legendary. You're tuned to the WUFO Sports Report. We'll be right back.
We are the legendary Mix 1080 AM WUFO, Power 96.5 FM, and on Facebook at Power 965 WNY.
What's good, y'all? DJ King Shot, your midday music maestro, M to the third. And I'm bringing you every Friday from 1 to 3. It's up from here. And this show is all about elevation. We're going to be elevating you on home ownership, hair tips, upgrading your finances, health tips, joke of the day, inspirational words, artists, business, all of that. It's up from here on the legendary Mix 1080, WUFO, and Power 96.5.
Hi, I'm Dr. Candace Johnson, president of Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center. We're on a journey at Roswell Park to eliminate cancer's grip on humanity.
Yeah, talk about Tyler Bass' new extension.
No longer a threat to anyone, regardless of race, gender, age, or characteristics unique to who they are. We're proud of our cancer innovation.
Good, you deserve it. And as far as I'm concerned, it was a bargain.
Early detection tests for
Yeah, it's definitely a bargain.
new approaches to harness.
He's sneakily, well, I'll say before we on air, he's sneakily one of the best kickers in the league, though.
Like targeted therapies, personalized medicine, CAR T-cell therapies that are highly effective in treating many types of cancer.
What about it? What they saying?
Five people that potentially could be cut after the draft. Saran Neal.
Why would Damian Harris be cut? We just got him.
Right, you just got him, right? You saw that too?
No, I didn't see that.
Hi, this is Dr. Callie Johnson, Director of Communications and Community Engagement at the Buffalo AKG Art Museum, formerly the Art Right Now. We are proud to support the work of WUFO Radio and Power 96.5 because we take pride in supporting local organizations that serve our community members.
I like him. I like him.
I like Brian Bresson.
There's a couple D tackles that I like. not named Ozzie Smith too, though. So like, I'm not crazy on him. You know what I mean?
They're using menthol flavors to attract and to dip.
Here's my thing with Jack Campbell and Deion Henley. I feel like Jack Campbell's the safe pick.
Take action at
You know what I mean? He's the safe pick. Deion Henley is like the exotic, like higher ceiling, but also lower floor pick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 6'1",
with one of the best.
Guys get up on him, man. I don't know. We're gonna have 2'6", 225-pound linebackers out there.
That's what I'm saying. I know it's different in the NFL, but
in
college that didn't phase him at all, yo.
Right.
He was going through boys.
See what Cincinnati did with us with 3 backup linemen.
On checking and savings accounts. Is it even a decision?
That was also 4 rushes though.
Nobody on your team.
That was no creativity.
230.
It didn't matter if they did. 300 pounds running at you full speed.
We are the legendary Mix 1080 WUFO and Power 96.5, Power965radio.com. A blend of R&B with your favorite throwbacks.
What's good, sports world? Welcome to WUFO Sports Report. Once again, I'm your host, Mookie Hawkins, on the 1 to 2s. Miss Anita Razor Sharp Williams is in the building, and joining me in the booth, Justus, the general fan base super producer. All right, we were just talking about some biggest needs that the Bills have some concerns going into this year's draft. I do first, before we dive back in, I want to let everybody know Fatherhood Initiative. All right, they are having class tomorrow. All right, make sure you go to www.power965radio.com and check out the Fatherhood Initiative. All right, for all you fathers out there, you have support as well. So make sure you go online and check that out. The Fatherhood Initiative. All right. So, we were just having a conversation about Deion Henley, 6'1", 225. The concerns I have is obviously, the weight situation, and him and Milano are kind of like the same type of player, to me. So that's why I say they could snatch him up. If it's, if all the linebackers are gone, you have no choice but to probably go and get that guy.
See, it's interesting that you say him and Milano are the same player, because Milano's an all-pro, and I think Deion Henley actually has a higher ceiling than Milano. So that actually makes me feel more confident.
Yeah, but I just don't see him being
together. I get that.
Being a stack backer at 6'1", 225. So you're gonna have 2 linebackers out there at 6'1", 225 with Taron Johnson, 5'11", 190. What you used to say, where's the beef? What's that Wendy's commercial? Where's the beef? Pause. But
put it on the D line. Put the beef on the D line.
They do that, and then they're not getting the job done up front. Especially if guys can get up on our linebackers freely, that's letting you know that the D line is not doing that.
But that's what I'm saying, because the beef ain't on the D line.
Well, the beef was a little hurt. Jordan Phillips, he was hurt at 6'6", 340. You missed that. You don't really have. Daquan Jones, he could do only so much. He's not as big. He's pretty lean. He's a pretty lean guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But he has the height. Tim Settle, he could do more. They brought him in from Washington. As a rotational guy, he could do more. I need to see more out of Tim Settle this season. If not, then hey, cut ties with him. And Bills obviously the Bills are shopping defensive tackles. So eventually, at some point, the Bills are going to address that. And Ozzie Smith comes to mind with you. I like Brian Bressie. He gives me those Chris Jones type of vibes, but he has to stay healthy. It's a lot of things that's going to slide. A lot of players are going to slide once these medicals be released on these athletes, may slide into that second round. And I'm hearing a lot with these linebackers have some medical concerns that's going to make those guys slide to the second round, and they'll be available for the Bills. So that is something to, monitor as we getting closer to this draft. But one signing the Bills have done, and that was extending Tyler Bass, kicker, 6th round, 2020 draft class. He signs an extension with $12 million of it guaranteed, 4-year extension to $21 million. So kudos to Tyler Bass, the eye of the Tyler, as I always like to call him. On the job done. Good job. What do you think? What do you think about Tyler Bass extension?
Again, it's kind of akin to the Josh Allen contract to me, where it was like it's people, it is what it is. He was next up to get paid. Josh Allen, and now the deal looks like a bargain, where we're paying him at 40 some odd million a year, and this guy Jalen Hurts is coming getting 50, 50 some million. It looks like a bargain now, right? And I think that this Tyler Bass deal is going to look like a major bargain in the next 2-3 years, because sneakily he's one of the best kickers in the league. And when you consider that he's not, you will go off the numbers, right? But you got to also consider that we play in a wind tunnel at Orchard Park. Kickers, I don't care if Justin Tucker or Morton Anderson is coming into the field, they're not going to be able to kick it the same way that they kick on any other field in Orchard Park. So that's Tyler Bass's home field. He gets that field 8 to 9 times a year, not including the playoffs. So, his numbers might look a little down a bit just because, some of those kicks, they blow right away and there's no chance for it. But ultimately, when we need him, he's been there. I can only think of like 1 or 2 kicks where he's missed where it's like, dang, we really needed that. And you could have did it. Outside of that, he's really been brilliant. He's been spectacular. So
he's been pretty solid. And when they was talking about that a little bit with the new stadium, how that they're going to probably make it more easier for guys to kick, in that stadium. So we'll see. But congrats to Tyler Bass on the extension. And we're going to be giving you nothing but the exclusive information every day leading up to this draft. We're going to conclude here to close out our show. Hey, make sure you stay safe, right? Stay safe, true love, not hate, wash those hands. Access to Africa is up next. And, hey, tomorrow we're going to be talking about Buffalo Public Schools signing this contract to where now, for the first time in about 100 years, they will be able to hire the most qualified guy for the job instead of the damn science teacher who don't know nothing about the sport. So
You've got it. That's the WUFO Sports Report. Catch us weeknights.
What?
Salute to you.